All right, everybody, welcome to Technical Tuesdays, my favorite Zoom of the week, where we learn a little more of the technical side of things of how to do what we do. So today, I'm going to talk about effectively setting up multiple enrollments weekly and controlling the situation. This way we can have a really full pipeline and, just have a lot of fun, be really excited to go to work every day because we know we've got a whole bunch to get done. A couple disclaimers. This is less about what to say once you actually have the group in front of you and a little bit more about how to set it up beforehand, how to handle the format and the flow of the day of. I'm mostly talking about doing a group demo and following up with survey cards, but most of the same rules apply when doing one at a time demos. Also, I'm not really talking about super huge businesses of 100 or 500 people. I personally have not done that before. So maybe once we get really good at these smaller enrollments, we can have somebody like CJ come on and talk about doing those massive enrollments. I'm more talking about something like 10 to 40 people, something that you could kind of, realistically get done in a day or two. Okay, so guys, I'm going to start out with a couple things to avoid. We're going to talk about the don'ts and then we're going to talk about the do's. So if you're doing something like a train more and you're aiming for a certain week where you really want to get this enrollment set up, be careful about asking if they do staff meetings or safety meetings, unless you got some pre-approach from maybe a coworker or somebody that we do those every morning or something. Because sometimes you'll run into situations where they only do their specific safety meetings quarterly or monthly, and it might not be the week you want. And that's fine, as a second resort. But if you're going for a certain week, don't even bring that up. Just be super assumptive. What I typically do is meet with people for 5 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of don't even bring up safety meeting unless you know for a fact that they do those at a time that would be good for you. Don't suggest that you'll do the presentation and then leave and catch up with people outside of work. That does not usually work very well. It can be a last resort, but in my experience, even if you say, hey guys, I'm going to call you, I have a 603 area code, I'm going to call you guys all in the next 24 hours or tonight between 6 and 7 to set up appointments, they forget, they get busy, they go home and they don't want to talk to the insurance lady. It's just not ideal. And you're spending your evenings kind of just running all over the place, trying to set up Zoom calls or go to people's houses. If that's what you want to do, awesome. I like to work during business hours most of the time, so I'm going to always try and catch up with folks at work. Don't let the manager go ask people if they're interested. I'm sure you guys have heard Van say the old arranged marriage analogy. Basically, nobody's interested in what they don't understand, right? If your boss came back and was like, hey, anyone interested in some more insurance? That's not how we do things. If that worked to get demos, then we would do that every day in the field instead of the sales talk. So there's a reason we do what we do. There's a reason we have our sales talk, and the manager doesn't know the sales talk. So we're going to do our best to not let that happen. Just be super upfront with them. Be like, hey, listen, I promise you, Mr. Manager, if that worked, then I would do that. But that's not a great way to let people understand what this is and how it works. The best way, and what I do for all these other businesses, is this. And also when you're sitting down with that manager, don't skip, demoing the manager, building the need for the manager and doing your best to get them protected as well. But on the flip side, also don't argue or rebuttal them too hard if they're saying something like, oh, I can tell this isn't for me, or no, I'm good, blah, blah. Then if the manager is kind of giving you some attitude, just be like, okay, no worries. I just showed the manager. So you kind of have an idea, but really I'm here to see the employees. Let me show you how this works for them. But guys, when you're approaching a business and you're hoping to set an enrollment, your goal on the approach should be the exact same as always. Your goal is to sit down with the manager, give him or her a demo, get them protected, and then schedule the enrollment. So still use our approach word for word. The point of our approach is to get a sit down, and it is excellent at that. And you still need to sit down to schedule an enrollment. So still use our approach word for word. And then in your buying atmosphere, add that manager, HR, business owner line where it's something like, hey, so I'm going to run you through this for you, and it may be for you, it may not, but at the end, we're going to talk about how we're going to make this available for your employees. Sound cool? And then continue with your buying atmosphere, your demo close, all that good stuff. And then whether or not they pick up coverage for themselves, at least they know how it works. You can say, can you see how this would really help some of your employees if they couldn't work? And then just kind of go from there. So now those are the don'ts. Now onto some of the do's when we're setting this up. Give 2 options, choice of 2 positives, just like we do with everything we do. And give examples of similar businesses. So instead of saying, hey, would it be okay if I show this to your employees? Say, so what I normally do for showing this to employees, like with Bob over at the plumbing company, what I did was I brought in a couple dozen donuts. I came in, they usually start their day at 7, they meet in the shop and they go out to the jobs. And then I just did a 3-minute presentation right there, and then passed out these survey cards, pulled up a survey card, and, people filled them out and checked yes if they wanted more information, checked no if they didn't. And I just followed up with the yeses real quick, left the no's alone. Or what I did with Caitlin at the salon, her employees, they're super busy. They couldn't all leave the floor at once. They had clients. So what I did was just catch up with them one at a time really quick in between working with their customers. But which of those 2 would make more sense here? A little trick is if you have an idea, if you've done this enough times where you're kind of like, hey, for this particular business, I think a group presentation would make more sense, then whatever one you're kind of going for, put that as your second option. So would this be better or this better? The second one is what they're typically going to pick. So have that be the one that you want. Use abundance and positive language the whole time. Make sure you're smiling, you're enthusiastic, hey, what all the managers loved about this, or the reason that this business owner and this business owner, all these people are super excited to make this available to their employees is because nobody wants to feel like they're the only ones, they're being singled out or anything like that. And be assumptive that the person you're talking to, the business owner or the manager, can make the decision and make this week work. Because sometimes if they're a little shaky and we're super confident, then they're just going to kind of go with it. And on the flip side, if we're not that confident, we're like, well, could I do this or that? And then they're just like, okay, this person doesn't know what they're doing. Let's hold off for now. And make sure you do your very best to close on a date and time before you leave. It's not that effective. They're like, yeah, you can come on back sometime. And then they walk away from you and you're like, wait, when? Like, you got to kind of just make sure you set that up while you're there. And definitely lay out the expectations. So once you've decided we're going to do a group presentation with survey cards, or we're going to talk to people one at a time, then, kind of lay out what that's going to look like. That way the manager feels confident and it has an expectation of what's going to happen. And then that way you look like a professional and like, you know what you're doing and you have a plan, because you do. Make sure you know where in the building it's happening. Where to catch up with people afterwards. Is there a side office? Is there a certain break room, a spot that we can sit to catch up with folks? And make sure you get an idea of how many people will be there so you can bring enough donuts, enough survey cards, enough pens, all that sort of thing. So that's more so getting it set up beforehand, kind of a little bit about what to say and just some do's and don'ts. Now, the next step is when you actually get there for the enrollment, kind of being prepared and having control of the situation throughout. So definitely make plans about getting whatever food you're bringing ahead of time. So if it's a super early morning, like a 6 a.m. enrollment, I usually just get something the night before and make sure it's already in the car, make sure all my supplies are set up already. If it's, a lunch and learn and you're bringing pizza, make sure you don't schedule anything too close behind it, so you have plenty of time to get the pizza. Expect there to be a long line or something like that. Yesterday, I was picking up an order for a lunch and learn, and I had to wait for like 15 minutes just to get the food. So like sometimes stuff happens. So just be prepared with a little extra time. Try and arrive at the enrollment about 15 minutes early, just in case they have a change of location or there's chaos. Who knows? You just want to kind of make sure you're not feeling rushed. And then you want to set up. Okay. So whenever you get there, find the manager, find your key person, be like, hey, I'm here. Where do you want me to set up? And just grab your table. What I like to do is kind of take the pens and the survey cards and just attach them like this so that you can just hand them out. You're not dropping pens everywhere, just little things like that lay out a brochure for each thing so they have like something to look at. Have the donuts opened up. And guys, this next part is super important. As people start to file in for your group presentation, build rapport with them, especially the first people that come in. It is critical that these people start to know, like, and trust you immediately. Trying to find the friendly, outgoing people who might really interact with your presentation and help you out later. And just remember, guys, this is still a first impressions business. So even though you're already in the business, you still need to make a good first impression on all of these, all the employees in the business. I know for me and for some people, it can be a little bit awkward and not really know what to say in these situations. And I think for a lot of you, you probably have no problem thinking of plenty of things to say. I'm definitely not great on the small talk. So if you're like me, some things I normally say as people are filing in, just warmly greet everybody, hey, good morning, how are you? Brought you some donuts. How's your day? What's your name? And then as everybody's kind of filing in, just basic rapport building questions. Who's got kids? Who's worked here the longest? Are you guys all from here? If anyone's like, what are we doing here? What's going on? Just, hey, we're actually here to talk to you guys about cancer, heart attacks, and accidents. Have you ever known someone who's gone through that? And if they open up, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I broke my leg last year and it was crazy. Like, ask them some questions and you can use that story in your presentation later. It's also super important on that same note, guys, bring the energy. This is super important. I don't care if your presentation is at 6 a.m. Nobody wants a boring presentation. It's already not the most exhilarating subject for some people. We need to do our best to hold their attention and kind of keep them awake, right? If you're naturally quiet and shy and low energy like I am, then fake it. Just be like, hey, what would an outgoing person do right now? Like, we're going to be that person for 5 minutes. You'll be okay. We don't want people spacing out, basically. I like to open up my presentations with a joke to break the ice. I always say something like, all right, guys, you've only got 2 hours to get through this, so let's get started. Totally kidding, guys. This will probably be like 5 minutes. And they're like, oh, hopefully they laugh. If not, that's awkward, but whatever. Definitely thank the manager and the team for their time. And guys, when you're getting into the presentation, again, I'm not going to go over so much what to say. You can listen to the Elevators podcast for kind of a script for that, but do keep it short and sweet. Okay. We know people's attention spans. There's a reason TikTok is super popular because those videos are like 30 seconds long and that's all people can handle. It feels like sometimes. So kind of keep it short and sweet, hit on the main points, ask those critical questions, the need finding questions. I typically get my group presentations. I get the point across with group interaction in about 5 to 10 minutes. Super short and sweet. Move around the group while you're talking. Don't just stand in the front if you can help it. Try and walk around, point at people, call them out. It's kind of like when you're in school and you were on your phone and the teacher was walking around, you'd always just like kind of pretend to pay attention for a minute. It's kind of like that. So it helps with engagement. If you can, use local stories. If somebody in the group had a story, you can even be like, hey, just like, Sam said when he broke his leg, and then, with permission, of course, be like, hey, can I share this real quick or something like that. Don't spill the beans on how the return of premium works. You want to save that for when they sit down with you later. And don't get too bogged down with Q&A. All right. So if people start asking a bunch of questions, well, how much does it cost? How do you get your money back? Does it cover this? What about that? You can just say diplomatically something like, hey, we'll definitely cover questions in the end. I've only got about 3 minutes here for this group portion. So I'll get to your question, I promise. And then when you're handing out the survey cards, you need to be very clear with the audience on what happens next. Again, people are not great at following instructions sometimes, but just kind of reiterate everything. Make sure people don't take their surveys with them. I've seen people grab them and just kind of walk away and they just clearly don't understand what's going on. Just be like something like, hey guys, so all that's left is to find out the cost for you, your family, and how you get your money back. So fill out these surveys. Everybody gets one because that helps me keep track of who was here and who I haven't caught up with yet. So definitely fill those out and get those back to me before you leave. And then I'll catch up with you guys one at a time in a minute. or something like that. And kind of have a plan for who you want to grab first. So some people will say, I've got a gift card for whoever wants to go first. Or if there was someone in the presentation who was just super enthusiastic and was with it and was nodding along, then grab them first. If you are doing the survey cards and people are kind of writing down single, married, family, stuff like that, I always try and grab the single people first, then the single parents, then the married people. And if they say family, grab the families last. And there's two strategic reasons for this. The first one is obviously because single people are their own decision makers. If they're not married, if they're not, part of a couple, there's no one else controlling their finances. And then the second thing is it's cheaper for single people. So if, Susie goes and buys a policy and then, Robert's like, hey, Susie, how much was it? Oh, it's only $50. He's like, okay, that's not bad. Meanwhile, it might have been more for him if he chooses to get a lead aid for his whole family. But at least this way, he's not like somebody with a family plan is not telling everybody it's going to be $250 a month or something, whatever. So that's what I like to do for the strategic order of grabbing people. And then if the first person you catch up with is not a buyer, that's okay. I mean, try and get someone you think is going to be a good demo, but don't rebuttal them too hard. Because remember, we have a lot of people to see. We're not trying to scare away the first person that we talk to. Be generous leaving information for people if they really want it. Obviously, no one's really going to take a brochure home and look at it with their spouse and call you. That's very rare. But if they're insistent, I must have some information to bring home. Here you go. Have fun. Good job. And still be quick with these follow-ups. You don't want to take up too much work time, and you want to be allowed back in for the reservice in 6 months. Okay. So the follow-up demos, guys, if you've done a good group presentation, a 10-minute intro and asked the critical questions, maybe shared a couple benefits, a really solid group intro, then your follow-up demos shouldn't need to be more than 5 to 15 minutes, depending on if they fill out the application. You can ask somebody, basically what I do for those is you get their story. Who do you know? Which of these will concern your family the most? Need finding questions, what's your health insurance situation? If you got sick or hurt and couldn't work, what would be your backup plan? What bills would you worry about? A solid buying atmosphere. I'll show you what it covers, what it costs, and how you get your money back. If it's for you, awesome. Today's open enrollment will get you protected. It's not for you, no problem. We'll cross you right off the list, okay? And then just show a couple benefits, transition to close, and you're either filling out the app or you're not at that point. So it does not need to be another 30 minutes after they already saw most of the demo in the group intro. And obviously, if you didn't do a group intro and you're just doing one at a time, it can be a little longer, obviously, if you still have to do a full intro for everybody. And as you collect stories and stuff from people and you're getting selfies, you're getting people protected, the next couple can be, the next demos can be quicker once you have, a bit of a feel for people's income level in the business, the needs of those people. Again, not skipping any of the vital parts of the demo. We're not skipping a buying atmosphere. We're not skipping our critical questions. We're just kind of not adding any extra fluff and random stuff because we do have a lot of people to see today. And again, we're looking for buyers, you guys, especially if we're not doing the yes, no cards and we're just kind of sitting down with everybody. Not everyone's going to be a full demo. Not everyone's going to buy a policy. So like if someone's super adamant that they cannot make a decision today, no matter what, or that they wouldn't be hurt financially at all if they got cancer, then cool, wish them well, send them back to work. We do have a lot of people to see. We're trying to get as many folks taken care of today as possible. If someone's a major talker, let them talk for a few minutes if it is relevant, if it's a cancer story or an example story. But if they're just like complaining about random stuff or trying to be class clown, just say something like, hey, I just want to be respectful of your time. There's a lot more people waiting to see me. So as far as this goes, and just kind of slide back into the demo right there. But really, guys, group presentations and enrollments are a lot of fun because you can be really efficient. You can reach more people. You can do more demos. All the days that I've ever had 12 or 14 demos has been enrollments. And the fun thing is, your demos are shorter, so you can fit more in. You don't have to hunt down your next demo so much. It's like, well, I've got 12 people to talk to in the business, so let's go. And your closing percentage is usually a lot higher in enrollments. So if you're normally closing 1 out of 6, and now you have 12 people to talk to in a day, you're probably closing more than just 2 people out of those 12 people. So that's exciting. If you're doing it all right, it's going to be a lot more than the normal closing percentage. And it's just a great feeling to be, protecting family after family and building that momentum, that energy, and people really feed off each other. If your first couple people pick up policies, it's a pretty cool thing to have the next handful of folks just be excited to sit down with you. So highly recommend, guys, trying to set up group enrollments as much as possible. I like to have 2 or 3 every week if possible, especially if you are getting into the field training and you don't have unlimited time to just sell by yourself. These are super helpful and they're just fun. It's a really good time. The day goes by so fast in enrollment, and it's just highly recommend. But that's kind of what I got for you guys. So I'll pause here. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, Maria, I got a question. Actually, I got 2 questions. I appreciate what you're doing. This is definitely fire right now. So I had some feedback from somebody that watched me do a group enrollment that even if somebody says no, that we still follow up with them to make sure they know what they're saying no to. Is that correct?
Were you doing like a group presentation with yes and no cards, or was it just catching everybody? Yeah. So they check no on the card.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that. I guess it depends on the size of the business. What I would do in that case is definitely follow up with the yeses first. And then if time allows, and there's a couple people that check no, you could even just go up to them and be like, hey dude, like super enthusiastically, like so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, I'll pick up this plan. I'm just going to show you real quick what everybody's doing. And just kind of, see how they are. And if they say, blah, blah, blah excuse, just be like, hey, if you got sick or hurt and couldn't work, you'd probably want some extra cash coming in, right? Yeah, that's what all these people said. And I have accidentally sometimes demoed someone who checked no, and then they still got protected because I wasn't paying attention. So it's worth a shot.
There you go. And the other question is, I can't be the only one in this boat, but, walking into like a doctor's office or just a big company that already has Aflac, and my approach is, hey, Aflac's a great company. We do things a little differently. It doesn't go through payroll, return a premium. And when I get to sit down with them on the same day, they don't have time for the full demo. Like they're wanting the brochures to, like compare prices, compare policies and all that jazz. I know the rule is try to demo the manager right then and there, but does that happen for you more percentage than it doesn't? Because I am not having success doing a full demo on the HR person, because they're like, yo, I get how, supplemental insurance works. Come on, man. What's, get to the policy, get to the price.
So if they get it, that if they're like an HR person, just kind of compliment them so much. Be like, oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so glad you understand how this works. Most of my HR professionals totally understand this. This will be super simple. So then just do CLASP. What do you currently offer through Aflac? What do you like about offering that to the employees? Has anyone had to use it? How long have you guys had that for? What might you change? See if they have any complaints. And then just basically, I would say something like, cool, here's how we're different. This is what people like about us. And we work really well with Aflac. They do some things we do some things they don't do, whatever. And then just kind of pitch it like we're not trying to flip, we're just pitching it as an alternative option for some people. And you could just, if you have examples of other businesses that have offered it alongside, I'd mention them. But I do run into that a lot with like office managers where they're just really busy, and I kind of just give a quick rundown, especially if they're already familiar with Aflac. I'm just kind of more so touching on what makes us different.
Appreciate you,
Maria.
What's up, Rylan? Can you hear me?
Oh man,
Rylan, you're cutting out.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna lose you guys. Never mind. I guess it wasn't that important. Anyways, dude, if you can hear me, I ran into that yesterday, and I pretty much just said, "Oh, dude, that's awesome. You're definitely gonna understand this." we do some things that are a little different, but hey, I only get a couple minutes. I can show you exactly how it works and how we're kind of different. And then you can name drop, hey, that's exactly what XYZ business said. You know, they have Affleck. A lot of people do, but they really love what we do. Hey, I get a couple minutes. Let me show you how this works real quick. And then that's how
Yeah.
you can really sit down and get that demo. And once they see it, they're open to let you come talk to their crew because we are better.
Yeah. And that's good too, you know, just being like, hey, I only get a couple minutes, because then they know you're not going to be sitting there chatting with them for an hour, because they are
And
busy.
I wanted to say something real quick on the group presentation. Maria, do you ask for like a list? So like when I get my enrollments going, it's like, hey, so since this is the first time, can I go ahead and get a roster of who's going to be here? Because I'm going to go ahead and just catch up with everyone and set the precedent. I'm going to sit down with everyone. So then the next time I come through, it's going to be a lot quicker and more efficient. Can you go ahead and pull that up for me? And then that means nobody can really say, hey, I don't have time to sit down. Hey, no, it's cool. Rodney said I'm going to catch up with everyone. I'm just going to give you the quick version, so at least you know what this is. Fair enough. And then I have a list of everybody crossing names, know who I've missed, who I didn't miss.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. I do that sometimes. It kind of depends on how much time I have. If I do have time to catch up with everybody, then that's definitely ideal. It depends on how many, you know, people in the business sometimes, and hopefully if there's a ton, they'll let you come back another day. But that's always an awesome idea too. So you know, if someone's off or sick, you're not accidentally missing some people. So that's also a really good idea.
For sure. And just kind of setting that precedent. Hey, if I don't catch everybody today, I know you like this. I'm going to just kind of trickle in throughout the rest of the week. And then when I come back again in 6 months, it's only going to take me, a few hours.
Yeah, it's all about whatever your plan is and how you want to do it, just letting them know up front.
Boom. Because we're the professionals.
There you go.
Hey, Maria, I got a question.
Sure.
So this came up recently, and there's always a better way to say something. What's a good way to respond to a business owner? He's like, yeah, I like it. You can show the guys, but we'd rather you show them and catch up with them on their days off.
Yeah, I don't like it when that happens. That does happen sometimes. Well, I mean, I never.
How would you respond to that?
I never suggest that, obviously, but if sometimes they do recommend that. I mean, you can, if you really want to. You'd probably say something like, okay, well, what's the best way to get in touch with them all? A lot of this business and this business found it was a lot quicker and more efficient to catch up with them at work. It just takes a couple minutes. And I mean, if that's all he's going to let you do, then I mean, feel free to ask for a list of people to call and then do that, but do your best to, I guess I would just, if I had some good names to drop or just any names really, I would do my best to try and say, hey, well, this is what so-and-so liked and this is how they did it. But some people are just super adamant and they won't let you talk to them during work. And then it's kind of like, you tried.
Maria, real quick, great job, by the way. I have made more mistakes than not. Did I hear you mention that in your quick presentation that you do not mention the return of premium?
Correct. I leave that as, I mentioned that it happens, that there's a thing. I'm like, cool. So what everybody likes is it's super simple. It's affordable, cheaper than, getting that drink you're holding in your hand every day. And also you get your money back if you don't use it. I'll show you guys how that works in a minute. And just kind of putting it out there. But if they want to find out how it works, they need to come sit down with me.
I love that.
Gotcha.
A little bit of suspense.
And it's very true. So sometimes when they select no, you'll notice they actually select cancer or accident as well. You absolutely still follow up with those people because you're like, hey, why did you select cancer? Right? And then that conversation bleeds into a demonstration.
Yeah.
And another thing, getting cards back, guys, the longer that you have the cards and you're not following up with them, the more likely that emotion's gone. So the need that they had in the moment it's gone. So you got to follow up with them ASAP. And I would carve out 2 nights a week, whether it be Tuesday, Thursday for an hour or two to do Zoom calls. Because guys, there are going to be some people that really just do not make a decision like that without their spouse. So you're talking about usually if a couple sits down with you via Zoom, you're probably going to close them on something very large and very solid for them too. So if you're willing to work after 6 p.m., it's always worth it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely, Zach. Yeah, if they do show up for their Zoom call, if they schedule one and do it, that is a very good sign that they're definitely interested. So again, yeah, do your best to catch up with, the single people, the single parents at work. And then that's why we save the married folks for last. So we can get that momentum, the yes momentum. And then if not, just like, cool, no problem. We're doing Zooms too. What day works for you? So, all right, I might have time for one more question. If anybody else has a comment, anything.
Yo, Maria, real quick, just one last thing. When they say, and I know everyone on here probably runs into this. Yeah, for sure. You can definitely come in. And before you do, I'm going to go ahead and talk to my staff just to see, to help you out, kind of who's interested. So how do you negate that for yourself? I'm just out of curiosity.
So I'll just be like, oh my gosh, Ryan, thank you so much for offering that. I have a lot of managers who say that same thing. And honestly, it's kind of weird. Like, out of all the times that that's happened, people just aren't interested in what they don't understand, and again, it's not my job to, pitch this to people. It's just my job to find out if anyone's interested. I never know when I do this with a business, if everyone's going to be interested or nobody or one person. So if you would just do me a huge favor, and please don't try to do my job for me, because you don't have the iPad, you don't have the insurance license, and just let me, give them the 3-minute version. And then at that point, they'll know if they're interested or not. Is that fair? Just something like that. Yeah.
Right on.
And yeah, sometimes they will still be, people are adamant sometimes, and you can use the arranged marriage scenario. Hey, silly question, Rylan, but if your dad came home one day and he said, Rylan, I found the lady you're going to marry. She's super cool. She's pretty and you're going to love her. Would you be interested in that? Probably not. You'd probably want to get a little more information and be like, wait a second, let's see if this is actually for me or not. I'm not sure. It's probably going to be a no if you don't have a little more information to find out if it's a fit for you. And it's our jobs, our coverage is kind of like that. So you could
nice.
For side.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. Well, we've got 8:39. I'm gonna let you guys get back out there, get to it. So I hope y'all have an awesome day. I hope you set some enrollments, ask some people who do you know, and just have an awesome Tuesday. But we'll see you guys later. Bye now.
Thanks,
Nice
Maria.
work, Maria.
Thanks, Maria.
Bye, you guys.